Now, let's imagine we're in a perfect world. You meet somebody, you both are highly attracted to each other, both have the same exact intentions, desires, and pace at which those different occurrences happen. The circumstances, the transitions from one place to another. And that's just how it is. You want exactly the same thing, and that's just how it works. Now, that's a perfect world, right? In some people's view. Now, on the other side, what we have to understand is that when I talk about a Dom sub dynamic, I'm really just talking about the person who leads the direction and the pace of the relationship based off of the position that they take up. So this could be a man or a woman, right? An alpha male is the man who takes that Dom position. A beta male is the one who takes that sub position. A beta woman is a woman who takes that sub position. An alpha woman is a woman who takes the Dom position, right? And what that position is just basically the person who decides the pace in which those interactions take place. So if we're looking at these different relationships and these different aspects of things, one thing that we can do is we can look at the situation and we can say, okay, cool. You got a Dom situation, you got a sub situation. If we're looking at things on a basis of what are the things that those people desire, and in the pace of having those things that they desire, it's what thing primarily strokes that person's ego first. You know what I'm saying? So if we're talking about a woman, a lot of times for women, it's non-sexual attention, validation, time or money spent on them, different things like that. It's making an emotional connection. And for a lot of men, what strokes their ego is for them to get sexual access to a woman, right? And usually that's how people prefer to start situations, based off of their desire level. If you try to present everything up front with the individual in this day and age, then what'll happen is either they may put you into a wrong category based off of what they want or don't want, or they may take something that they don't want based off of not understanding, and you may not know which side of it that they don't desire as much, because you aren't setting a precedent of anyone leading. And someone can lead without you even knowing, because the person in the lead will often be the person who cares less about one aspect of what it is that's being shared between the two. So let's say that it's a situation between a man and a woman. If you start off your relationship on a basis of getting to know each other, talking to one another, and building an emotional connection in a relationship before you get into the topic of sex, or the topic of dominance and submission and who leads, and instead of showing that in that respect and working on the respect and desire within the relationship and establishing the who leads, then what can often happen is that will put a woman in the lead by de facto. Like by default, it'll put the woman in the lead of the relationship, right? Now, in most instances, if you start off from a perspective of a sexual relationship, then it's going to, depending on how the sex goes, but for the most part, it'll put a man in the leadership position as far as the direction that the relationship is going. Now, how that transitions and if that goes forward on either side, it depends on the character and the abundance of the person in the situation. The character, the abundance, and the ability to assimilate of the submissive partner, their ability to assimilate into the dominant partner's desires, the character of the dominant partner to reciprocate what the other party desires, and their ability to flesh out their demands in their mind, or to lead in that direction, and then also the abundance mindset that the person has who is in the dominant position, because the abundance mindset that they have is what's going to allow them to not let the submissive partner go too far if they don't have the character or the resources or the emotional resources or the intentions moving forward, or the adequate level of attraction in order to go forward with the situation, right? If you don't have that, if you have good character and you have an abundance mindset, then let's say you may put a limit on how far you go with the woman you're not that attracted to, or you may not even talk to a woman you're not attracted to. Likewise for a woman, she may not even talk if she has a high enough level of character and abundance mindset, to an extent, when it comes to if she's the one in the lead, if she's the one where they start off as friends and then she decides when she's comfortable to move forward sexually, then what happens is, if she doesn't have a high enough level of character, then she'll allow a man to remain indefinitely in a position of being a beta male orbiter, right? Or a beta male provider. And she won't allow him to step into his full position. If a man is taking the role of not having an abundance mindset, then when he's dealing with a woman, he will put her into a position to where he may allow her to get more emotionally attached than the type of relationship that he would like to have, or what he can lead her into. Even if he doesn't want a relationship, if he's teaching her something in the process or helping her grow, then her submissiveness can still have a payoff. But the thing to understand is that that's when a man will deal with the woman he's not attracted to for years on end, so that he just has some pussy nearby, because he doesn't have an abundance mindset. So that's one thing. It's the emotional discipline, the character, and a certain level of abundance. Now, I believe in a man being the one who takes the lead, but this is something that happens, right? Let's say a man, he is a certain social contract that comes with the way people do relationships. It's not completely true, but people gaslight people when certain things get involved. I'm not necessarily the fan of just doing one thing one way, doing exactly that way. I am, but I'm not. So I'll explain what I mean. I'm not a fan of just saying, okay, cool, the end goal is to just find a woman to have sex with and just fuck her on a regular basis and then throw her away. No, the end goal is that you get to a place in your game where you have quality women around you, and those quality women around you are the ones that you can narrow down among your rotation and the women who you are encountered with, until you reach a place where you find one who you can have serious long-term aspirations with. And that's the woman that you let go forward with you in that situation, and you reward her investment, and you reward her time, and you reward the desire and the submissiveness that she shows with you by becoming more emotionally invested, by offering more of your guidance, by offering more dick, by doing things, by stepping things up sexually even more, where you know she can be submissive with you and those different things. And then you step those things up, you reward that with more domination. You reward that in ways that make her feel good, that make her feel feminine, because she's taking a feminine submissive role with you. The issue is this: when it comes to like the friend zone, the issue is that for many women, when they take a dominant role, they'll have to completely separate themselves from the sex in a way where it is transactional, in order for them to be able to reward a man for being feminine with them, with access to them sexually. And with that, it's often not going to be on a fully lust level. And when a woman is in between her emotions and taking a logical leading type of mindset and disposition to a situation, that's what leads to a whole lot of the friend zone. Because if a woman is part-wise emotional and also taking a certain mindset and a perspective to where she is trying to lead and give the man pussy when he earns it, you also have to understand that if she's seriously looking for a relationship, then when she takes that perspective, she is going to be unable to fully respect that man, to be fully submissive with that man, sexually or non-sexually, because he's following her lead. So also, if he's not sexual enough, she may not want to fully allow him to dominate her. It'll feel uncomfortable, and because that's the basis by which she knows that man and deals with him, then it's going to feel uncomfortable and as if he's switching up if he then decides he wants to be more dominant in the situation. So then it can create levels of discomfort, because there's a certain level of entitlement that is there to him, bending on what he wants to do to make her comfortable in the moment. So, a lot of this is based off of character. A lot of this is based off of an abundance mindset, how much options you have. But as a man, that's just something to understand as well. Like, it goes on both sides. It goes on both sides. So this is just Brody talking about, friends with benefits. Fuck buddies versus platonic friends, and how those are two sides of the same coin when we're talking about dom sub dynamics, and how character and abundance and options and how those different things plays a part. And why I also believe that in the biology first, and why a man should be the one to take that lead, but also why a man should have those options, so that the good behavior that he wants to see, he'll have the ability to reward it. It's not about feeling entitled, because when you feel entitled and you're in the sub position, then what happens is when you feel like you're owed something when you're in the submissive position, then that's going to turn off the dominant party, the more masculine party. Oftentimes, this is what I meant to say earlier, when you take this type of role, one thing that happens is that oftentimes the things you want are going to be on the other side of giving what the other person wants first. And the best way to actually be able to get through that situation is either to be submissive enough with your dominant party in order to want to do something because they want you to do it, or to desire what they want, desire to give what they want from you on an intrinsic level to where it doesn't feel like you're giving of yourself. And when you get to that place, and also where you have a certain level of altruism, and not just altruism, but just desiring to do things for that person, to show them. It's kind of like when you're a student and you're going to a dojo in the old kung fu movies, and you want to lay yourself prostrate to the master, or you want to go to the master and you want to like Karate Kid with Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi. You're gonna have to do some shit that seems like you're wasting your time, where you're gonna be, painting, doing the up and down strokes. You're gonna be waxing on, waxing off. And if you don't respect them enough to do what they say regardless, or if you don't see that desire, or see that how it works on your own, or if you don't look at it and say, you know what, I'm gonna learn something out of this, that even if I don't learn it, even if I don't understand what it is, this is gonna benefit me later. It's the same thing with like your parents. It's the same thing with your parents. When you take that perspective, things are going to work a lot easier. But when you take the perspective of you don't understand what it is, but of course you don't understand, that's why you're adopting them to be your teacher. That's why you want them to be your leader in that position and in that situation, because when it comes to those different types of dynamics, you don't know what it is that they know. And because you don't know what it is, you submit yourself to it, right? And also, what's going to happen is, in the process of trying to reach the prize of what it is that you desire, you're going to pick up skills and mindsets that will help you along the way. So not only do you get, like let's say if a woman takes that role of being feminine and submissive with a man, not only does she get better sexual experiences by opening herself up and becoming vulnerable and submissive, not only does she get to experience what it's like to be dominated by a man in a way that's pleasurable, not only does she get to experience those sexual things and also those non-sexual things, she gets to pick up skills, right? And it's not only about whether or not she gets a relationship at the end, which may be like the black belt, but she gets to pick up skills that even if she doesn't deal with that man afterwards, it'll make it much easier for her to get a man after the fact. It's, the martial art of that. And if that's the type of man that she likes, the type of man she wants, then it's going to be a lot easier moving forward, right? Now, you still have to empty your cup to a certain extent, but those skills you pick up help you going forward. So you get the skills, which is the guidance. You get the good dick, right? You get to learn how to show yourself non-sexually attractive as well as sexually attractive. You get to pick up skills, and overall, it's a very beneficial situation. But when you look at the things that you're being told and then you get upset or you get uncomfortable and then you start being resistant, then you lower its ability to be effective. And then all you do is you don't have an intrinsic level of desire or respect that's high enough for you to go through with the process. So when you're unable to go through the process, it puts you into a position to where you're not going to fully get all the things that you can get out of it, because you're just, doing memorization or trying to get it over with. You're not going to fully get the pleasure out of it. You're not going to fully get the skills. And then ultimately, you're not going to gain the skills that will get you to the point where you get to have what it is that you want, which is the prize. And the prize may be a relationship for a woman sometimes. And for a man, the prize may be, getting the sex or having sexual access to that woman, right? And that's how the old dating style used to work, right? When women were a little bit more, sexually reserved. And I don't think that's necessarily either a good thing or a bad thing. That's just how things are these days. But once you understand that, it's easier for you as a man to take more of a dominant leading role when it comes to both the sexual and non-sexual aspect. A true dom isn't somebody who's just dominant sexually, and a true dom isn't someone who's just dominant socially. A dom is about taking a dominant leading position in a relationship, is about being the person who leads non-sexually and sexually, which means you have the direction and the vision for where you want the situation to go non-sexually, and also the person that you're dealing with desires you enough to where they follow your pace of how you want the sexual relationship to work. And they desire you to the point where they're willing to, where not getting it would be something that they would view as a realistic punishment and a outcome that they would not desire. And anytime only one person is in control of one thing, it seems like checks and balances, but it limits the ability to clearly set who is in the leadership role. And that's one thing that often leads to power struggles and this tug of war in relationships between men and women.